let's call the meeting to order.
Hang on a second, we're waiting for it to load up here. We're gonna be on YouTube for the gang. The interested parties at home. Make sure up on the left, you see the down
Madam
thingy.
Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Can I just exit out of this?
No. Click the sound.
Okay.
All right. Are we all,
We're good?
Lynn's here, so now we're good.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 1:31. We have a quorum and we have a member speaking. Ed, you're on.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ed Gala. I live at 1740 Sanctuary Point Court. And although I'm a Payne Tennis member, I'm speaking to you today as a Sterling Oaks community homeowner. Okay? Homeowners in the past have complained that they feel they should be able to access the tennis courts free of charge because they contribute to tennis through the monthly fees that they pay. That may be one reason why some homeowners do not support tennis. I am proposing the following. Give all homeowners the Oaks family membership free of charge. I believe it'll cost the community little or nothing. The Oaks membership would allow homeowners to play tennis after 3 p.m. on weekdays and after 12 noon on weekends. I would also ask that the 2 p.m. replace the 3 p.m. start time on weekdays. This is when the courts get the least amount of use. Team matches would have priority for courts. And how this can work. The Oaks family membership would be available to all homeowners and would be non-transferable. You would require the homeowners who want a free membership to register with the pro shop to get onto the reservation system called Kelsey. All paying members are required to do this as it is today. Require the homeowners to reserve courts using the Chelsea reservation system. Again, all members are required to do this today. Require homeowners to follow all rules related to tennis as noted in the rules, regulations, and community-wide standards. One of the arguments for this is people will have used the policy and used the course without reserving it. My answer to that is what prevents them from doing that now? The other argument might be they will use improper footwear and damage the courts. The rules and regulations and community-wide standards already address this. All concerns related to court usage is addressed in the community-wide standards. Instead of bringing up a few negative points, look at the positive aspects of this proposal. We've got 12 tennis courts that are sparsely used after 2 p.m. Let the community use them. I've got lots of tennis rackets, I can borrow them too. I pay just over $1,100 a year for my family membership, and I'm not opposed to this. And I know of no paying member being against this. My hope is that homeowners will take advantage of this, get out and enjoy tennis, and support the tennis program at Sterling Oaks. One other thing I just want to mention is that we've got cameras on every court now. So you can see, they can pull up any footage on the cameras and see what's going on out there. I think it's very important though that anybody who wants this is required to sign up with the pro shop to get on the Chelsea reservation system and make sure they use that system so we can monitor who's on the courts. But I think this is a win-win. The people in the community, I don't know that there's many people that would take advantage of it. But we're not gonna lose money by doing it. And I think it's a nice gesture for the community to be able to use the courts when they're not being used anyway. They're not gonna buy a membership. They're not gonna buy one. So what? Let them use the courts. They're not being used anyway. I would like this included in the meeting minutes, please. Can I do this with you?
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Let's go to secretary's report, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the October 26, 2023 board meeting.
Need a second? Brownie. Okay, Rick seconds it. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye, any opposed? Motion carried.
Don, did you hear us?
Yeah,
Okay, president's report. Well, I'm going to do my presidential duties here and remind everyone that at the last meeting, I had to use my gavel, which I rarely do. So I thought, at this meeting, I'd remind all board members a few things about the conduct of the meetings. Number one, we begin with a motion. This eliminates a lot of, irrelevant discussion and talk. It gets down to business, so please, as you introduce the topic, introduce it as a motion. Then I will ask you to ask for the floor. Typically, I'll put you in a queue. And you can help remind me who's next. But, once you have the floor, you can expect that you will not be interrupted by others. Say your piece. Then we'll move all the discussion toward the motion. That drives the whole discussion and saves a lot of time. We don't need a lot of stories or anecdotes along the way. Make your point, try not to repeat it. I've observed over a period of time that we often make our point and then we make it a little bit louder and then louder again, but it turns out that we got the point the first time. So try not to repeat your argument. We're all pretty bright, we get it. And I'll ask you to try to refrain from abstentions. We're pretty good at that. But we're also neighbors to a lot of people and we're friends to a lot of people. So let's put that aside. And I think you have a greater obligation to your board members as a board member in Sterling Oaks to keep that in mind. And finally, and the reason I'm presenting all this today is let's remember to be civil to one another. We certainly don't need to mimic Congress and what they're going through over the last few days. So with that, we'll conduct our meetings, if you will, with attention to these precepts. Now, a couple other quick things that I'm going to slip into my report. Remember your liaison duties. The duty as a liaison is to represent a communication link between the board and your respective committee. That's the extent of your job and duty. You're not the leader of the committee. You don't direct the committee. You simply transfer information. I bring this up because several members of several committees have come to me to say, my liaison is a little heavy-handed and is driving the meetings, and it's my understanding that that shouldn't occur. I said, I will remind all board members at the next meeting as to what their duties are. So keep that in mind as we move forward. I want to remind you also that given the new law, no motions can come from the floor unless it's on the agenda. So let's keep that in mind as we move along today and in future meetings. If you need to discuss something, make sure you get it on the agenda 48 hours before the meeting. Next item, I want to get your feeling. I'm thinking of inviting Jerry Schoenfeld as part of the annual meeting in March. Do pretty much what he did yesterday. in front of the whole crew. And, I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that. Yeah, let's put it this way, do any of you have any objection to that? And I'm not certain we'll do that, I'm just considering it at this point as part of the annual meeting show that goes on every year.
No objection to comment. I think that would be a good idea. One of the things I found yesterday, and it would even be worse in March. You know, if it's somehow so he knows what we've already done, so when you cover something
Good
like
point.
pickleball,
Yeah,
they're being built right now, so in
Right.
other words, so I came away with a feeling, didn't get into it, that there were a bunch of things we should let people know that they probably didn't know already done or
Right.
didn't know.
good
So
point.
that would be only comment since at the end of the year, somehow work the accomplishments into
Good
the
point.
plan.
We'll make that happen. Good point. Okay, so, Mark, make a note of that and we'll see how things go. And if we do call them in, we've got essentially board approval or a consensus at least to do that. Then finally, in my travels with the chat sessions, I picked up a few things. And one of the things I picked up, particularly as it relates to Sanctuary Point and part of Deer Creek, is the concept of a deduct meter. And I ran into, Gary Ray's son the other day, who is a little bit of an expert in irrigation. And he talked about deduct meters, that essentially, if you can apply this meter to your property, and if you water your property with county water, you also pay a bill for sewer. Now, that water that's being used, Collier County can't determine whether that's going directly from your house into the sewer. They assume it is. They don't know that it's going in your lawn. And you're not using the sewer system for that. So the concept is there should be a meter that deducts the amount of water you're using for irrigation from your sewer bill at least. Am I right, Gary, in that concept?
Correct.
So I've asked Mark to look into that. That could be of significance for Deer Creek and Sanctuary
I
Point.
don't know if Mark or I who looked into that. No, it's certainly an option. The problem is, if I recall, to get that meter installed, you gotta pay probably $5,000. It's $3,000 when it's checked. So it's an option, but you still, the Sanctuary Point owner would probably have to pay as much as he would if he had the program.
Yeah.
So it's quite, you might know the number too.
I look
but
back,
checked on
I
it.
look back in the, you know, my notes just to try to,
Several years ago.
yeah, it was, and I'm trying to get all the Collier County, utilities, supervisor to find out whether or not those prices have changed and what's going
So
on.
I'm aware I could get another meter tomorrow, if I want to spend $3,000. Or whatever it is.
And
So we'll look into that, and maybe if we do a whole section, it might be cheaper, I don't know. But at any rate, it's worth looking into, and we'll verify whether that's the case or not. Because if it's $100, I'd be really interested in that.
Well, I think that the problem here is it's not just labor, it's like a permit or something, so I'm guessing that having 10 people ain't gonna bring the cost down. You know what I mean, that it's a bureaucratic thing. It's
So
not-
we'll ask Mark to look into it, and then we'll have the details. So that concludes, my report. And, let's go to Mark with your report, please.
You all have my report in front of you, unless reading it might redundant, but for those of you that are out there. Bocce pergolas, the site development plan was approved by the county after 2 correction letters. I think the county just does correction letters on submittals simply because they can. Anyways, that's been approved and now they're looking at the actual permit. And that should be approved any moment now. And we're still expecting them to be in here during the month of December and and get it all. They have all the parts ready to go. Everything's set and ready, so once they get the green light, they'll put them in. I'm making sure that those construction materials also contain areas and items for future upgrades and additions if necessary. The Marsh project, if you look out the clubhouse from up top here and look across the marsh, you can see where the waterways are sort of a lot clearer way. There's kind of a ribbon that has a clearer path in it. I talked to Michael LeBlanc the other day, and he says that they are working on trying to move that ribbon and get it a little wider and create a little more of a water horseshoe, so that in theory, you know, we can get water rotating a little bit, moving through the marsh. They did come in and plant all along the edges of the marsh, at least on this side that I saw. The plants are very small. They're in rows and bunches. You can see the stakes with the orange markers, and in between those stakes, they've weed eated and cut down and put in the plants. So those are different plants, Elaeocris, probably pickerelweed, and I think that there may be alligator flag and some other stuff in there that they want to show to bring some of the flowering plants to the marsh. So we'll continue to monitor that, but at least they've done a lot of their work. The veranda deck, and the only reason I'm going on with the veranda deck is just simply because I'm getting a lot of people that are interested in the strategic plan that shows the veranda deck was a fairly positive, had a fairly positive return on it. I'm looking at just trying to find out what it would cost to extend that existing deck out 20 feet. No roof, nothing on it, just the railing around it, nothing underneath it, nothing to me, no windows, no doors, no fanciness, just to be able to utilize that deck out there for outside parties, weddings, stuff in the summer that we could utilize it for an ROI as well. I do need, if I was going to get a quote on it to see what a contractor would want to bid on it for, they do need some form of drawings, just like we've had for anything that we're building here. And I have a drawing from an architect, but in order to get a quote, I need engineered specs, engineered drawings, and those cost $4,000. And I talked to Paul Goodrow about that, and he said that he would probably talk to all of you today about that, if that's something that you want to continue to proceed with. It would have been great to have it available if the weather was better on Friday night. Instead, we stuffed 143 people into the house here. And it was shoulder to shoulder, but it was a good time. But you know, in that case, being able to have an outdoor pavilion outside and be able to manage the kitchen flow and everything, it would just be a nice seasonal area.
Unless I get vehement reaction from the board, I intend to approve that initial amount to see what this project would cost.
Got a point of order question. Which I want to clarify. Maybe we should be able to discuss things, we just can't take action. Your guideline is going to be a little bit too clear. A good example is every meeting, and I like it, the fact that Mark might bring up new things, but they're technically not on the agenda. Matter of fact, we should, you know, based on your rules, we shouldn't be even talking about it because it's not on the agenda. So I think we should maybe agree that we can talk about things as long as we take actions.
Well,
This
we
is
can
good
talk
example.
about it, and let's say this board is split on this concept, and half of them want to go this way, half that way, then we move it to the next board meeting.
All I'm saying though is I should be allowed to bring up something without making a motion also. If I wanted to bring up the idea of putting that and get everyone thinking about it, I should be able to do that without making a motion. Mark is allowed to do it, but what my point is, the board members should be able to bring up something without having to make a motion. to get feedback and to consider in the future. That's all.
I understand what you're saying. I guess we're just going to have to wrestle with this new law and figure out how best to move forward. My thinking is that I can just approve this. Board doesn't even have to know about it. I can just approve it. It's done. There's no vote taken. I choose to share with the board what my intent is. And if there is some concern, we can move it to another, board meeting.
Yeah, but my point is, I think you're adding a perfect the new law. I think we're allowed to talk about things, we just can't act on anything.
Right.
And my point is, the board members should also be able to bring up something, not to make a motion, but at least to discuss something.
I agree with you.
Okay.
John Mulligan.
Yes, well, I guess the rules say it should be on the agenda. It is on the agenda because it's part of Mark's report, which was published. So what is he talking about? I don't understand. It's out there for publication 48 hours in advance. So why can't we talk about it?
Linda.
Well, I was basically going to say the same thing, slightly more subtle, but I was gonna say, when this is something in his report, I think we can discuss whatever he has mentioned in his report.
Exactly.
However, coming up with a motion that was not discussed at all, I think is what Paul was saying.
Well, I agree with that, but I was interpreting that he said you have to start with you can't discuss anything until you make a motion. And then my point is, we should be able to bring up something, discuss it without a motion. And I don't think the law restricts that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I agree with you. And, these were rules that were set forth before this law came into place, so we may have to adjust, you know, how we go about with these meetings from here on out. But before we would just launch into a long discussion and it would take us who knows where. But this law kind of eliminates that now too for us. So at any rate, yes, we can bring up things for discussion, we just can't act on them, we can't take action. Okay, Ken,
I have a question on this deck. It would not have helped us with the party last night with the weather that we had. And that weather could be anytime during season or out of season. Is it really wise to put up just a deck out there, or should we have some kind of cover on it? And what would be the difference in cost between putting a cover on it and not putting a cover on it?
well, I think that's what the initial plan would allow us to begin the discussion. At least we have a baseline in terms of what a minimal structure that Mark is talking about would run. Then if we want to augment that, that's one thing, but at least we have a baseline to operate. And I don't think the purpose of the structure is to combat inclement weather. I think it's more for accessibility from this kitchen and this bar to proximity that's better than the cabana area. And the bocce area.
So, Paul, this room would be open one night a week?
That's up for the board to discuss.
Is it
I don't have any preconceived notion.
It's gonna be one night a week. Not worth spending any money.
Yeah, I don't know that. That's up to the board. All I know is, the sense I get is that kitchen is right there. And to move product from that kitchen over here is a lot easier than moving product from there to anywhere else. And the same thing with this bar, where we make most of the money is right there. And if we could move a group of people right here, this proximity makes sense to me. Now, making sure it doesn't cost us an arm and a leg, but that's what we need to find out first. How much? Lynn?
So I think with the strategic plan, they were calling for outside dining, casual dining. And if you move one of the cabana nights up, one night there. You could, I think casual dining in my mind means plates and silverware, glasses, not, not cabana chair with styrofoam, that sort of thing. So if you really want to follow the strategic plan, this might be a minimal way of doing it. Because you could have all those items here, you could have dishes and silverware and napkins and tablecloths, and you could have outside dining. I don't know about the cover art, but I think the idea fits in beautifully with the strategic plan. And yes, we've got to be up here a little bit more. Yeah.
There's no payback for that.
Well, I think the whole idea would be to add a little bit of.
Chap,
John, I think you're jumping the gun, assuming we're doing this for one night a week. I don't know how many nights a week we could be
How many
using it.
nights a
That'd be
week
up
we
to
use it
Mark
now?
and Nikki.
We use it one night a week now.
For formal
There's
dining.
lots of Stuff going on.
But I mean, it's something that in my dream is to have the cabana be able to be open for those people that want to be down there during the evening and have it as a bar. To have people, if they still want to stay there at happy hour, or if they want to do that, but I'd love to be able to turn the TVs on up here and have casual dining, on Wednesday nights, on Thursday nights, on Tuesday nights. Because you're right, it's not used up here, but if we could formulate that into our plan to be able to have more of that casual dining with a casual menu and not this more formal Friday night stuff. Like, I really want to see a wings and things night. I want to see burgers and beer. I want to see chicken wings and margaritas. But I just would like to be able to do it in a position where I can serve you that type of product in a better fashion than I can down at the cabana.
keep in mind, the strategic plan talks about outdoor dining. That's not in here, it's outside. That was my takeaway from the strategic plan. So we either do it at the cabana or this veranda's too small. John,
Yeah, we're talking about, okay, is it gonna pay itself back opening one night a week? The chap said, who knows how many nights a week it's gonna be. But I was talking with Mark, this could open up bigger weddings in the summertime, and this could pay for itself over a couple of years. Even if we only use it one night a week, having the weddings and having more events would pay for this over time.
all right, we're not making any decisions today. So I think we've talked through this. We'll go ahead. I'll approve that amount. We'll get an idea of what this structure would cost. And then we'll have the next discussion after that. So Mark, carry on.
Thank you. The Employee Holiday Fund, I just want to say that the staff is very grateful to everybody for and the membership for their generosity. This annual fund has been giving the employees at Sterling Oaks a much needed monetary assistance during the holidays and at year end for the past 10 years. I can tell you that it really makes a difference for a lot of the staff that is a family at home that have been putting the money into taking care of their family, their increased just day-to-day costs, as all of us have dealt with. They do appreciate it, and it is in my opinion well deserved for the staff, because we do have a very wonderful staff that is much appreciated. So, and a happy Thanksgiving to all of you as well. FP&L. It's great to be king, I guess, having a monopoly like that, kind of like waste management, sometimes you want them to do stuff, you can't even get a hold of them. We have a breaker on a main panel behind the cabana. It's a 200 amp breaker. That controls the pool lights, fans, and cord 8 and 10 lights, or cord 8 and 11 lights. The breaker is bad. We've gone through it, we've had electricians check it out, we've tried to find out whether or not there was a dead short or something tripping the breaker. It's just a breaker that's old and it's just the springs let go without any real electrical resistance. We did have a league play, a match play, outside playing at night on the courts. It went out. There wasn't much we could do about it. They were very upset. We've been trying to deal with them. We've had to reset fans. The fans don't work down under the cabana because they're tied to GFI outlets that snap when the power goes out. So we went ahead to call the electrician to replace the breaker. That's a 200 amp breaker and it's connected to the meter. So we can't, the electrician's not allowed to do it because FPL has to come in and turn off the power at the meter. So we called FPL, can you get down here, take care of this? There's no urgency on their part whatsoever. So we're waiting for their call to set up their time where they could come in here and take apart the meter so that we can change the breaker out. We don't know at this point in time whether or not Collier County, God love them, if they're gonna require a permit because it has to do with electrical for the replacement of the breaker. So all that, so just FYI, that's why if all of a sudden the lights click out down at the pool underneath the shade shelter, or the fans aren't working, or you're wanting to play and you can't on courts 8 and 11 at night because the lights aren't working, that's the reason why. We are also contacting them about the light that's out in Sanctuary Point. We do know that they fixed the blue lights in the condos. But we still have, I think, a light out down in Sanctuary. I don't know if the blinky light has been fixed in Sanctuary. Do you know if it's been fixed?
That's the one that went out.
Okay, the blinky light went out.
Same one.
Right, okay, so that's, well,
Not like-
it's not blinking. Well, I think somebody was gonna get a 22 or something, take care of it.
Probably the owner of that house got a 22.
Yeah, so anyways, we're working on them to get in here and replace that as well. Pool lighting, so the pool lighting, yeah,
Once we get all the paperwork and the bureaucracy, how long will it take you to replace? Is it a couple hour job where it won't shut
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
down too long?
no, a couple hour, and it's one panel, it's not the meter for the place, so.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, so it won't, obviously you're gonna lose power and plug and everything.
No, not for the club, it's the meter is attached to that panel, we've got like 6 meters down there.
It's just a couple of
Yeah.
hours at most.
Yeah, we have about 25 FPL accounts throughout this place.
Don't forget, we have a direct line to them through Chris Hill's office.
That's right.
So if need be, we could.
Push on that. So the pool lighting was brought up from the pool project team some time ago, about can we get more light at the pool, and this would allow us to be open at night during the pool. We did have some individuals who had requested to be able to swim at night, past the hours of dusk, which we're currently permitted for. So we went into that whole process, and I think I've reported this over the past few months. We do know that the poles, etc., the poles, like the tennis court light poles, 18 feet high with LEDs, because they don't make them in any other type of light nowadays, would be 18 feet, and they would have to be put onto the pool deck into footers, into the pool deck, and so permitted, wind load permitted, and all of that. So we contacted several companies. A lot of electrical companies, electrician like City Electric, it doesn't matter, all don't want to be messing up with that type of project. We had to get to a bigger company. We found one that said, yes, we do this type of work. However, we aren't going to give you a bid because we want to be able to make sure that the engineering is correct for it. So in order to get the quote, they are asking for $1,500 for the engineering spec in order to give us a quote for it. So much like the deck, you have to have the engineering study done in order to find out what the real cost would be. This is the same type of situation because they just told us we can go in, give you a quote. Most of the time people go, whoa, and say, that's crazy, we're not gonna do it, and they try to look for somebody else. They say, in order for us to compensate ourselves for the time and energy that it would take to move through the engineering study of how to put the poles onto the deck and connect it to the electrical system, make sure it's all correct and done up to county specs, we're gonna want some money up front to do this. So that's where we stand now. Now, in lieu of that, I'm talking to the pool project team. I talked to them and said, well, you know what we could do, because we could provide more light on the pool deck ourselves, but maybe not with the big lights. And so I've asked Randy and his maintenance crew to look at the white posts that are on the cantilever shade shelter deck to attach some of the downlighting landscape lights that we have to brighten up the edges of the walkway next to the pool, so that when we're there at night and it is busy, that we can have some more light for people walking back and forth and being able to see a little bit better. I've also talked to them about maybe putting in another light or two on this side over by the pump house to give us a little more ambient light as well, so that as Steve had said, it'd be nice to be able down there at night. We got a lot of people on deck. They need to be able to see where they're going. So we may be able to do some of that in-house. Now, that is not going to provide us with the lighting necessary for the pool permit swimming at night, but it would satisfy the pool area nightly use for the pool deck itself, for people to walk around and feel a little more comfortable about it.
But Mark, the reality is we're probably not gonna get the permit to swim at night because of the insurance, correct?
I was just going to bring that up.
So why don't we just do the ambient light, just to make it safer, as we talked about for Friday night barbecue? I mean, if it's too dark for 10 people to swim, it's probably too dark for 150 people to be drinking and dancing. So I think just, and I wouldn't go with the big project, my personal, just do what you said with our guys, make it as good as you can with our guys. And yeah, that would be my input.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
There was an agent that came around to price out some insurance for us. We had a discussion about, there was a death, I think, at Bonita Bay,
Yeah.
someplace. And now the insurance companies are all in a tizzy, and they're requiring lifeguards for night swimming. And that alone would,
If we had.
so I'm happy to hear this recommendation, because I think by the time you engineer that whole project down there, pay for a lifeguard, and the insurance premiums would rise. It probably would be prohibitive anyway.
Probably be cheaper for another pool.
Yeah, you're right. So good. If the board is happy with that recommendation, I think we can make that happen.
Thanks, Mark, for all that. I know.
Good.
Don't call back.
So, before my last thing, I'm just want to kind of bring up that our ongoing, it's not a part of my written report here, is that the discussion that we've had about a possible person to assist us during season and maybe on a full-time basis from a help, communications, customer service, office, marketing, etc. I'm in touch with actually Jerry Schoenfeld, in turn. Let me talk to Nikki, who's down at the business school, Lefford School of Business at FGCU. They do have a alumnus sort of career website that people that are coming out of the School of Business, you can post a job down there. So before I did that, I wanted to go to a lot of these other communities that have a similar position, and I'm really wanting to make sure that what we are looking for is an individual that assists us in the areas that we truly need it. And there's 2 or 3 of those areas that are starting to become a lot clearer to me as the GM here. And one is, and Ed brought up the people playing tennis. Well, we do have a viable membership here at Sterling Oaks that provides us with a significant revenue source and cash flow to help the overall community. It provides a great number of individuals for competitive play. It provides a tennis program that is well respected. But in order to continue that membership, I think that we do have to be able to market it. I think we have to be able to do it more than word of mouth. I think we have to be somewhat professional, if you want to say, in being able to get that news out there, beyond the gates. I think we have to do that for our private parties, such as the weddings. I think we need to be able to do that for the club as a whole. I think we have to do internal marketing as well. I think it's important that the community as a whole understands what we're doing here on a day-to-day basis. I think that there's a lot of either apathy, ignorance, just simply because they don't know about what we do up here and where, or we do on the pickleball courts, or we do on the tennis courts or the bocce courts, that we have this array of amenities that's used and it's for the community itself, and that they should be able to have a better idea of what those are. Currently, we have e-blasts, the channel 901 that tells you what's coming up. But we don't have anything that tells you what happened, or what did it look like, or what a success it was. You know, we have the pickleball, which is it's going gangbusters. They're having events, they're having all of these things that they're getting involved in. Well, we don't have any way of making sure that once they do this, that they've got some form of accolade or you know, a follow-up to the community saying, this is what you missed. And I think that that's important too. We also need somebody in the office to cover the times that, you know, one of us is away. I think that's gonna be an important part too, especially during the summer months. So we need a multifaceted individual that has a variance of technological expertise, with the website, with audio visual, such as we're doing today, marketing to some degree, being able to communicate effectively and assist the community in moving forward with its plans and its structure. And I think that that's something that I just want to make sure that you all know that that's what I'm moving forward to try to find. It's really somebody that can fit in here. It's a jigsaw puzzle, and this is a very odd piece. I need to find somebody that can assist us in all of those endeavors and be a part of our team. You know, that's all I've got to say about that for this time being.
John Cologne.
I might suggest, when you're talking to Jerry, that they have a hospitality management program there, they have a sports management program there, which entails an internship by their third and fourth year students. So rather than a full-time person working here, you might want to think about internship programs or work study programs that they offer also.
Correct. I talked to him about that, and I talked to Nikki about that too. They said that does have merit, and that if when I do post this position, that it will go to those as well. I'm not saying that it's on the startup that we need to have somebody ensconced in the place 4 days a week. It could be a hybrid where they're only here 2 or 3 days a week, and they're continuing their studies as well. So yes, I agree with you. So we'll take a look at that. So last thing on mine is
On that last
whoop,
topic.
not quite.
My only concern is that we begin to act
did.
on this soon. Season will be upon us.
Okay.
And that's the whole purpose of this, one of the purposes of this position, so I'm all for moving on this soon.
It's getting busy again. It's gonna get a lot busier here very soon, and I just urge everybody out there that can hear my voice to be careful, to drive slow, stop at the stop signs, watch for the bicycles, watch for the walkers. We've had so many people that have come close. We've had people that have been hit because people haven't stopped at the stop signs. We just need to be very cognizant of the fact that we have a active community that utilizes the streets and sidewalks that have to deal with the cars as well. Not to say that the vendors don't need to slow down as well. Some of the FedEx and UPS trucks need to have some kind of a braking system on them as well. Anyways, I just wanted to say, please be careful as you're out there. That concludes my report.
Lydia,
In relationship to that, what you just said, Mark, should we do the extended hours of the cabana and that sort of thing? Is there any way to light up those crosswalks a little bit more? Because I assume people will be walking home more a little bit later than usual from the pool.
I think that that's something that would be beneficial as well. And oddly, that was a part of the whole permitting structure as well, as not only the pool had to be lit up, the walkways, et cetera, had to be lit up as well. That's a good point. And I think that we can take a look at maybe the streetlight poles or something else that could provide us a little more, or maybe from the gatehouse pushing that way. That helps. You're right. Or on the ground. I think even Mel Parisi said that, you know, there should be a way of us putting in a thin saw cut onto the pavement out there and putting in these LED strips
Yeah.
that light up the roadway and help us out with that. Dave, I think you were part of looking at how to get those better as well. So
So I know the one down here at the
Yep.
T.
yeah, that
They
you're right.
find every which way it was there. And
No, yeah, I agree with you. I think that that's a good thing we should look into.
any other questions of Mark? If not, let's go to treasurer's report. And John, would you introduce the budget as a motion, please?
Yes, I'll follow the rule. I make a motion to approve the budget as presented. I have some verbiage to add, but that's during discussion.
Okay, I need a second. Okay, Steve Mara, seconds. Any discussion?
Mark or Paul? Okay.
John?
All right, we sent out the budget to the board members over a month ago, and it was unanimously approved to be sent out to the community at the last board meeting. I received numbers from Mark's GM peer group of 16 communities. The average of those communities was an increase of 8.7%. There was only one community that was less than ours. The budget was unanimously approved by the finance committee. Since we sent out the proposed budget to the community, which included numbers from the 2024 reserve study, I've not heard anything at all from any board member, all of which had ample time to raise questions or comments on both the 2024 budget and reserve study.
Okay, Ronnie,
I want to make a motion. I understand that we got like $77,000 from the CARES program, which we didn't have a month ago. So I'll move to increase the cash reduction in the 2024 budget from 75,000 to 150, basically double it, using that money, that extra money we got. And that would actually be used, make the cash reduction go from 849 to 1698. So that's my motion.
we have a motion on the floor. I'm going to allow Browning's motion for discussion.
Need a
I
second.
need a second on that.
I'm getting there. So I'm going to allow this for discussion purposes particularly. And I presume action also. So number one, I need a second for this motion, Browning's motion.
I will second it so we can have a discussion.
Okay. Let's discuss. Go ahead.
All right. I think Brownie's concept is good, however. It seems to me that we've got a couple things to think about. Number one is, it might be wise to take this money and kind of earmark it either for cash reduction for the next budget cycle, or we have, a couple personnel issues that I know aren't funded
That's right.
in this budget. One is what we just talked about,
Exactly.
and the other is if we're ever going to have this pool monitor. That's not funded in this budget. So it seems to me there's good use for this money maybe, and if we don't use it, what we have is money to John Mulligan, I'm addressing this really to you. If we don't use it, we have money that we can look at even continuing the cash reduction into next year. Who knows where we'll be? But it'd be nice to, well, that's my 2 cents.
What's the name of this money again? Employee reduction and
ERTC.
retention.
Employee reduction.
Employee retention credit,
reduction Plan.
Retention.
employee retention
Right.
credit.
So, and we just talked about this position that we're looking at, that's been around.
Okay, I'm surprised to hear that we approved this position. Oh. But we budgeted, we didn't budget it, and now we're gonna use extra money we happen to get to do something we didn't put in the budget, is that right, Mark?
Didn't want to put any money in the budget that I didn't know how much it was going to be. Could have been 25, 35, 45,
You didn't
50,
put anything in
80,000.
the budget for it?
No, I didn't earmark any specific budget number because we hadn't come to any idea at that time that what the actual position was going to be or its cost, and I'm finding that this position is it's got, now that I'm finding out about more about it, I'm just telling you that it's got a little bit of difficulty in nailing down. I wasn't gonna be able to put 50,000 into the budget for this person without quite a bit of discussion or finding out whether or not that's exactly what was necessary. It could be 60, it could be 80. I'm not really sure. It could be 25 or 30 if we're gonna be looking at an intern that's like John was talking about.
This
So
discussion is a little off the motion.
I
Anyway.
couldn't quantify it
We're
at the time
getting,
the
we're
budget.
getting
was
too
going.
specific here, and we're moving away from the motion. John Mulligan.
Yeah, I agree with what Chap said. We shouldn't use that now, because if we can use it for these upcoming positions, that would be great. If not, we would use it to be able to do this again next year and whittle down our cash give back. We had 100,000 last year. This year we got 75. We want to whittle it down, not go down to zero, because we go up and down like a yo-yo. And if Brownie and Paul yours is right, and we overstated our tennis revenue, then this could help offset that.
So now you're gonna use that against us. You put the high number in for tenants, and now you say you're gonna not give this money back to the owners because you don't really believe the number you forced us to put in for 100.
No, it's not what I said, Brown. I said, if you are correct, which I don't think you are.
Let's not get bogged down.
Gavel.
Let's carry on with the motion. Do we have any other discussion on this motion?
Oh, what's the most?
Brownie's motion is to move this money,
Okay.
discretionary money, to offset
Okay.
the budget.
Was there a second?
Yes, we had a second.
Yeah.
One other thing. I'm a little surprised. In other words, there's many things in the budget that we have for 2024 every year that we don't know the exact cost. For instance, we even have a capital budget, I think of 100,000. We don't know exactly what we're gonna do. So it surprises me that we didn't allow for. We basically committed to have this extra person that we don't have anything in the budget for. Even some kind of number that concerns me about the budget reversal.
Okay, that's a mystery, but it doesn't have anything to do with the motion. So unless there are any other questions regarding Brownlee's motion, we'll take a vote. Okay, all in favor of the motion signify by raising your hand and saying aye. Those who are opposed to the motion signify by raising your hand and saying nay. Nay.
No.
Okay, the motion does not pass. It goes back to the motion on the floor. John Mulligan made a motion to accept the budget.
I have another motion.
Ronnie,
Make a motion to basically eliminate the long-term capital plan for 2024 with respect to $10 a month for the house down to zero.
okay, do I have a second? Okay, we have a second. Discussion.
Well, the point is, there's been a lot of discussion off and on about that long-term capital fund, whether or not we should have had it. Certain board members have been also taken it to zero or not. It's something we're building up. It's a little bit like a slush fund. I mean, it's good to have, but again, we're basically charging the homeowners for some future thing you don't quite know what it is, okay? So again, with the increase in all the cost pressures on everybody and so many residents are on fixed income, we have a lot of fixed income, it's just a way of, maybe we shouldn't do that for them.
I agree with everything you're saying. And I don't like the long-term capital fund for those things in particular. However, I have more respect for the budget process and what we have gone through. And at this point, I'm going to recommend that we have more of a discussion of this so that each and every board member can take a stand on this in the future. It's my guess that most board members don't know where that came from, what the purpose is, why we're doing it, and what the projection is for spending. And I agree with everything you're saying, but I have more respect for the budget process, what we've gone through over the last 6 months, that I'm prepared to move on the budget. But I'm also suggesting that we have an in-depth discussion and study philosophically on that long-term capital fund and what it means.
Mulligan is raising his hand.
John?
I think to get rid of the long-term capital fund would be very short-sighted. If we didn't have a long-term capital fund, we would have to do a special assessment to get the pergola done. We'd have to do a special assessment to get the pickleball courts done. So to do this, it would just limit us what we can do in the future. So I'm very much in favor of this and it should continue. And what we have left over, you know, right now we already have $200,000, which is more than half of what we have in the long-term capital fund. And depending on what happens with the irrigation project, part of that could go with that also.
Yeah, I don't think it's time to discuss that now,
No, I agree, but I just want to make
or
that point.
I may change my mind, so.
I'd like to correct a little bit. Since the pickleball courts were under the 10%, we would not have had the special assessment. The board could have assessed the pickleball, but it would not have been a special assessment. We could have budgeted it specifically for the pickleball courts. Okay?
But if we didn't have the money, we couldn't have done it. We have money now in the long-term capital fund.
We could have budgeted specifically in the 2024 for the pickleball courts.
Any other discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to pretty much say the same thing that John said, but maybe in a different way. I just think it's sort of like, thank goodness we had that money there to do things that needed to be done. Like the pickleball and like the pergola. I also agree that it's really short-sighted because it seems like every year we're surprised with something we really need to do, but don't have the money for it if it were not for this. I'll even use your terms if you want to, the slush fund. I guess the last thing I'll say is if we get to late next spring and early summer, and we've done something on this, and we've come to some conclusion on irrigation, and Mully thinks we've got more than we need in the long-term capital fund, well, like we can throw some of this money toward the irrigation. I think you were saying that, weren't you, John?
Yes. We'll have to take a look at it, but yes.
So I am totally not in favor of the motion, is the bottom line.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye and raise your hand. Those opposed, raise your hand. Okay, motion fails. John Mulligan, back to you on the original motion. Lindy, if you have a question?
John, I apologize for asking this question today, but the last question I asked you, I didn't, I shouldn't have even asked you, but thank you for answering. But on the administrative, on the budget, 2024, and then I looked at the year end for 23 and what we budgeted, and why is there a reduction?
I'm
The
not sure the numbers you're
reduction-
talking.
The reduction in the administrative is generally gonna come from your resale fees that you guys increased starting in 2024.
Okay,
That's the income from all of the capital contributions of sales go into that calculation.
okay, so that's an estimate of what we're gonna make on that. Okay. Thank you.
Ron?
I have one more thing. Josh, in October of 2022, we approved taking this money, loaning money from the association, the Wildcat Cove, so that the assessment for 2023 would not be astronomically go up. With the agreement that we would get that back by the end of 2024. First of all, did we actually loan money to Wildcat Cove Reserve? And if so, have we budgeted to get it back in 2024 in the numbers you have for Wildcat Cove?
Yes, we did loan the money to Wildcat to do all the roofs. And we have been collecting money all year to go against that, and that will be paid back by, I believe, the first month or two of 2024.
Perfect, so it will be all paid back by the end of 2024.
Yes.
It was so, since a number of the board members were here and all of that, I'd forgotten about it, having to think about it, just to make sure it didn't slip through the cracks.
No, there've been, that's why their assessments went down so much for the paired villas, because now they're where they should be.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna go down and this levels it off right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chad?
No, I'm gonna help Lindy because she's too timid to ask again.
When did that happen?
One
She
more-
really doesn't understand the answer in this administrative cost. Let me tell you what is hard to understand. Under administrative, you've got a budget of 205,000. That is an expense.
That's the net.
That's the net.
There's the administrative line of the budget is like the expense of like payroll, hold on, I can look, payroll, the copier, the time clock, different administrative expenses, plus the administrative income of capital contributions, rental fees,
Okay.
interest income, so it's the net.
So it's the
of-
net.
Yes.
And the reason it's going down is
The reason it's going down, we anticipate an increase.
Less income.
Yeah,
if you will.
we anticipate more income,
More,
more income, like $70,000
Oh.
more income
More.
from your resale fees, your interest income. So
Okay.
we're hoping to get
There
more
you
in.
go.
So those are all net things.
Yes, except until you get to food and beverage and then you actually see the expense and not just a net,
Oh, okay.
okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yep,
Oh, one last.
Go ahead.
It's been a subject a number of years, and it's really a 2023 budget question. Where are we gonna stand in the year on the water to the condos? We've beaten that before it becomes an issue. I was just curious on how that looks for, we're gonna have to eat water to the condos, particularly living in Sanctuary Point, we'll have to pay for irrigation. I'm not happy to pay water for people taking showers in the condos. So where does that stand?
I couldn't hear the question. Can you repeat it, please?
What's the situation on the water charges to the condo? If we budgeted so much, are we gonna come out and we're gonna have to eat money before, again, for the condos, water, just regular water?
The budget for the condos, they're over budget. So yes, the rest of the community will be paying for that, just like every other year, like 2 years ago when the single family homes were $55,000 over budget, that went through. So it goes up and down year after year, and we try to adjust it for the next year's budget so it doesn't happen again. So we're trying the best we can do, but every year, either single family homes or the condos and water sewers are above or below what we anticipated.
I know that my question is specifically, since it's been an issue, we budgeted something for this year, 2023 for the condo waters. How does it look that the year end will be? What do you project that? Are we gonna be short or long? That's my specific
I think
question.
my first response was they're going to be over budget at year end.
So we're gonna have to eat some more water money.
Yes, just like the condos ate some of the single family home money a couple years ago, Brownie. Yes, you are correct.
Remember, you have a motion on the table.
So the logical, Paul,
Go ahead.
so the logical question then is, 2023 is water over the dam. The logical question is if we were, if the condos spent more, if you will, on water than was budgeted, have we adjusted 2024 to make it more realistic?
Yes, that's why the budget line went up 25%. And the condos, coach homes had the highest percentage increase of 7.99% compared to the rest of the community.
All right. All right.
Okay,
Okay, right.
Answer the question.
Still have a motion on the table.
any other questions? Motion is on the table to approve the budget. If there are no other questions, signify, all those in favor of the motion signify by raising your hand. Since none are left, the motion passes unanimously.
I don't know how you guys did it. I was so surprised at how reasonable this is.
Yes, a good job. As I said earlier, I have a lot of respect for the process and how this turned out. So John, we like that job, you and your committee. I will also say that, down the road, I think we need a discussion on a long-term capital fund so that each board member can take a stance and understand the concept thoroughly. But that's for another day, another time.
I agree.
Okay, again, John, and committee,
Paul,
good
I'd ask
job.
you to put it on the agenda when you're ready to do that.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Okay, John, delinquencies.
I make a motion to suspend the following members as described in the Sterling Oaks collection policy and refer the account to our attorney to pursue all legal remedies available. Count D0065.
Do I have a second? Ken Swallen seconded. Any discussion? If not, all of those in favor of the motion signify by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. I make a motion to suspend the following members as described in the Sterling Oaks collection policy and refer the account to our attorney to pursue all legal remedies if not current by December 1st, 2023. 5293, C0022, R0046, and W0042.
Okay.
It's not.
I need a second. Rick Sanders seconds. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Hey, John, anything else?
No, that's it. We don't have the financials, so we're not yet because it's early in the month, so we don't have our October numbers to go over, but we'll go over them next month.
Very good. Okay, let's go to project committee and project team reports. Looks like we have only one, Lindia, activity.
Activities report for November. Past events. Since the last board report was only a mere 3 weeks ago, One would think, well, the activities report will be very short this month.
That's what I thought.
Not so. Since then, we celebrated Halloween with great decorations in our lobby and dining room, enjoyed an evening of fine dining and good music for listening or dancing. Thank you to the folks who came in costume. We've shown how smart we are with our instant recall on trivia night. 50 competitors attended and enjoyed light fare and cocktails. Congrats to the Wildcat folks, plus my next door neighbors in Sweetwater. We read a good book for book club and thoroughly examined it. Competed in the first of 4 cornhole tournaments. Learned from a demo by Chef Eric how to make and arrange appetizers. Help make entertaining a breeze. This was a girls' night out. We washed a few cars at the Legacy Car Wash and raised $1,300 for the scholarship fund. And then enjoyed some laid-back music by Andy at the pool that afternoon. Paid our respects to our veterans with a wonderful barbecue at the pool, where our vets ate first and free. Thank you to the overnightie who attended the buffet and enjoyed the music by Jason. We welcome back our friends at a welcome back party with a very large crowd. Good food and music by Travis. We donated a little blood, sharpened a few knives, and wrangled with a strategic plan. We had a pickleball mixer, a tennis exhibition, which is tonight, and all in all, it was a busy 3 weeks. Looking ahead, Friday, 11/17, tomorrow night. Poolside buffet with thistle and lace, always a popular event. Saturday, 11/18, community garage sale. Time to clean out the closet and garage. Opened at 8:00 a.m. Sunday, 11/19, the fun continues. Day 2 of garage sale. Monday, 11/20, knife sharpening, knives, lawn shears, etc. Wednesday, the 22nd, dining room is closed. Thursday, the 23rd is a Thanksgiving buffet. Don't cook, don't fight the lions, or wait forever to be seated. Don't do dishes. Need I say more? Make your reservation early. Serving begins at 11:30. Friday, the 24th, dining room is closed. Game playing in the multi-purpose activities room. Should be a full house. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 11/24, 25, 26, the band is open for lunch. Friday, December 1st, Friday dining with music by Travis. Concert series tickets will go on sale early December. Check your emails. Great concerts, don't miss it. Wednesday, December the 6th, the dining room is closed. Games and multi-purpose activities room. Thursday, the 7th of December, Legacy gift wrap. Don't rustle trying to make your gifts look professional. Let our groups do it for you. The presentation says it all. Friday the 8th, Friday dining with music to enjoy or dance to with Jason. 12:09, dining room is closed. Games in the multi-purpose activities room. Wednesday, the 13th of December is Girls' Night Out, a visit and tour of Palm Cottage. Saturday, the 16th, the book club meets. The book is The Sweet Life of Sunflowers by Marta Molnar. Most, if not all, dining activities also provide curb service. This has been very successful, and thank you to our staff. Check your emails for the chat session for your community. Last minute notice from Jill Sanders that we have added an art show someplace. There it is. Okay. The art show, it will be in January 20th. They're going to be showcasing several Sterling Oaks artists with some of the art available for purchase. It's from 11 o'clock to 4 on the 20th of January in the multi-purpose room. And that concludes my report.
I noticed we didn't have canasta lessons. About that. Maybe you
I was thinking of giving them.
don't do that. Okay, let's go to any questions, by the way. If not, let's go to irrigation project, the chat session update. I'm going to go to our ad hoc committee of Rick, Chad, Ken, and John to talk about the chat sessions and give us an update. One of you decide who's going to take the lead. Rick volunteered.
Rick, use the microphone right there.
Yeah.
Or the other ones.
Okay, we had, 3 chat sessions so far. The format and the content were basically uniform for all 3. I want to just, first of all, cover the attended part of it, and then I'll go over the overview there, rather than read all 3 of these things. They're all basically use the same format. Thank you to John Mulligan for that, giving us a fact sheet, which I think kept all of us on track and consistent. The first one, second, was Eagle Cove and Heron Lake. John Coyle was the board presenter. John Mulligan and Chap Colucci were board attendees, and Mark West, the GM. The new communications committee members, Doug Benisi and Gary Ray. We had approximately 16 owners attended that one. The following week, the 9th, was the Sweetwater Bay. John Mulligan, the board presenter. Mark West was there, and communications people, Lynn Frankel and Jerry Ray. There were approximately 11 residents there and on Zoom. And just this past Monday, I presented the one for Willow Bend, Deer Creek, and the preserves. Chap and Steve were both there in attendance, and Jill Sanders and Bill and Stephanie Stapleton from the communications committee. We had approximately 28 residents there. Each of the presenters started with well, actually it was twofold. We used it as an opportunity to introduce the chat session responsibilities, which everybody, if anybody attended the strategic plan yesterday, familiar with that, is one of the paramount things in there. Minimum of 2 and optional or suggested 4 chat sessions per year. An outgrowth of the fact that we were getting complaints that communication from the board to the members could have been improved. So all 3 of us used that opportunity to talk about the introduction of the new committee. We're going to have assistance from the communications committee. And we talked about the fact that we were starting this one as the first chat session. In effect, the main topic with the irrigation, we reviewed the impetus for doing that, improving the control system, avoiding the catastrophic failure and ecological benefits. We then went through, we understood that the first vote did not go our way. We assumed that it was because it was inequitable and unfair. The ad hoc committee came up with a new plan, which we believe is much more equitable and fair, based on the pipes and acreage. And each of us took the spreadsheets and explained what the numbers were for each of the communities. Therefore, an option 1 was replacing the control system in 5 years and the pipes in 10 years. Option 2 was taking a loan out now and beginning the work immediately. And option 3 was to do nothing. It looked like on both the first 2 chat sessions, everyone was involved, everyone was in favor of both either option 1 and option 2. None of them said do nothing. And on the one that I presented, everybody was in favor of option 2, taking out a loan immediately. So by and large, very, very good reception for the first 3 of these. There was some confusion about the dollar amount, but we explained how that was arrived at, and actually we wanted to each of the dollar amount. I think the people, and again, I'm not sure, I believe probably the condo people were the ones that were affected the most. It sounded like they were satisfied for the most part with
new formula, if there were no negatives. So there was definitely some, interest in taking out a loan and doing it right away, because some people suggested, why are we doing any work? Why are we paying and not getting any work done? They want to see some actual work done for the money.
Just as an addendum to this, because of the interest that I've seen so far at the chat sessions about wanting to start the project and then pay for it over time through a loan process. And the discussion that Sanctuary Point and Deer Creek that are on city water are going to be able to get after the chat sessions, if this continues, there's going to be a straw vote taken to determine whether or not the communities of Sanctuary Point and Deer Creek on city water are truly interested in being a part of the overall project. We, from anecdotal reports, feel that that's not something that the majority of those homeowners want because of the ROI and the upfront cost. So I went back to Russ Geiger, and wrote him and said, listen, your current project RFP for the irrigation specialists include the piping to Deer Creek and to Sanctuary Point as a part of the overall project that has to be in there with their feet of pipe. I said, I'd like you to redo a second RFP that does not contain those two areas and find out what the difference in cost would be from a control system and piping system. Even though that we kind of look at those quotes and RFPs and to say, oh, it was, I think we came up with different numbers of 585,000 or 623,000 or whatever it was. We still, those are old quotes. We don't know really what it is in today's terms as far as the cost is concerned. And if we are going to bring this to the community in March for a vote, we do need at least try to get at least two companies to bid on it. We also need them to be fairly current bids so that we have a better idea on that structure. So I've asked Russ to go back when he's away, he's up north right now, when he gets back into town to restructure his RFP to give us so that we can get those real costs without Sanctuary Point and Deer Creek on city water. So that's at least that'll give us an opportunity to bid either way, depending on how those two communities vote in the straw poll.
Yeah, I explained that there had to be a straw poll, because you can't split it like within Deer Creek. I said, one person can't have it and then the other person have it. I think it's gotta be all the numbers. I think there were some people that thought, well, I'd rather have it. I think they're over the other guy. When would we be doing that straw poll for the sanctuary?
After we have the chat session in Sanctuary Point and get a flavor for what's going on and how to conduct that poll, but it'll be shortly thereafter. And in all probability, prior to the town hall, where we call the entire community together.
Probably our straw vote would be, we would do it internally by email, like we used to do a vote. We wouldn't hire somebody, but we would still do it, send everyone.
How will we do it?
I will figure that out. I haven't thought about
We
it.
will figure that out. Chat.
We need to get all 132 homeowners a chance to vote, so.
Yeah,
Right.
it'll be like Survey Monkey or one of those.
Yeah.
It'd be
addressed to
big
Mark.
deal, send those-
I'm sure I can put them specifically in a group on the website and specifically send them a survey, but
It doesn't have to be.
Survey Monkey.
we have surveys on the website, so don't worry, that's the logistics we handle for you guys.
Take care.
I guess that's to Mark, Paul. I think what you're intimating, or at least what I think I heard, was just based on the old numbers. Let's forget about the fact that we're gonna have new numbers. If the old numbers did not include piping for out there and control system for out there, it would go down. Isn't that what you're saying?
No, chap.
No.
The numbers numbers we were quoting, the 1.9 million had the approximately 500,000, 550 taken out of it that was for Deer Creek and Sanctuary Point.
So I totally misheard what you were saying.
No, what John is saying is that the original RFP and the original bids contained everybody. That project team went ahead and removed the numbers that they felt were in it for those communities. What I would like to make sure of is if we're gonna get accurate bids for voting purposes, that Russ Geiger be the one to make sure that the numbers that are given to the contractors are specific, you know, to the bid.
Okay, I got it.
And not, because if I was a contractor, I'm thinking about that, but when you go ahead and you say, well, for us, we're just gonna take away that money, we don't know whether or not that's the real end up cost. In other words, they still have mobilization, they still have general conditions, they still have other things that they have to do to provide the pipe on here. Is it truly the total cost that they're removing because of the section? So I just want to make sure that the numbers that if when it gets to the vote are accurate to the project that is going to take place. If that makes sense.
I made the point of saying, these numbers are old.
Right. I'll just, I think the original, John, and you'll have to help me out here, the original numbers that came in from the two bid companies, Aquamatic and from Stallman, were in the neighborhood of 2.5, 2.4 and 2.8.
Yeah, I think we were using 2.425, I believe, when we come up with the original amount.
And the other firm was 2.8, so I don't know whether or not they're gonna go back to those two. I'd like to have Russ give us another company. Reputable company that's does this type of work. Maybe they're in Tampa area or someplace or East Coast or West and somewhere else to at least get a third bid in, so that we can really truly get some good numbers on this and be able to have it nailed down for the vote.
Yeah, I was intrigued by the people that wanted to do it right away.
I think that's not one way to push the thing, is why pay so much a year and wait 5 or 10 years to get it? Go ahead and pay for do it and pay for it after you do it. That's the best selling point, I think, to do it. I mean, I'm in Sanctuary Point. I think people probably won't go along with it, but if I were other, I would want to be putting money into reserve for 5 or 10 years to do something 10 years from now. Instead of going ahead and doing it now, which would probably be cheaper in real dollars. And then pay it off. I mean, it doesn't financially, that's like you're gonna buy a new car, but you're not gonna get it for 5 years until you pay off your loan.
I want to regurgitate for all of us. Essentially, where we might be going is to have a upfront project now. Well, an upfront project was slaughtered last time and turned down. What's different?
Which one is that?
The vote, the last vote.
The loan.
What's different is the allocation method has changed such that the huge voting block of the condos might be more receptive. Isn't that what's changed?
Well, that's part of it. You've got Sanctuary Point, Deer Creek out of the picture
Right.
too. And you've got this loan introduction.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there are multiple things here that come into play.
So there's reason to be optimistic.
Absolutely.
Part of the objection is this whole return on investment thing. Anybody, I pointed out that there's people that they're not gonna be here more than 4 years. They know they're gonna sell their house, and they're saying, why am I gonna put this money in where I'm not gonna benefit from it? It's not, you can't get the immediate
My point was the infrastructure, I've been saying this all along, infrastructure needs to be done. You know, we're not doing anybody a service by just kicking a can down the road. And I think most people agree with that. Nobody said do nothing.
Right, that was one takeaway I got from all three. Not one chat session group had a contingency that said do nothing. They all seem to say, move now. So I would take that as encouragement.
One of the things, kind of like the focus group, though, the total number of people for those three was like probably 60 people, or not even 60. So you're still faced with that problem of that 40% that never takes an interest, so that's one of the, I think most of the people who come to those sessions are interested in understanding the problem and they're supportive of doing something. But it's a very small number. In other words, that's probably 80%, you know, so that's one thing like the focus group, they're not necessarily getting the feedback from the people who.
You're getting a sample.
Yeah, we're getting a sample who happens to be interested and not only interested, understands the problem. It doesn't reach those.
Well, in my experience, people who are really upset and negative about an issue tend to show up too. And they're carrying pitchforks and torches. So I've been on that side of the picture. So it goes both ways. I take this as a positive indicator that we're on the right track and we're doing the right thing.
I just hope that when we have the next town hall, that we have better response. Personally, underwhelming.
I think by now, the more we talk about this, the greater the sense is in the community and they understand it better now. So I think we have their attention. So I'm optimistic. Any other questions?
No questions. I have a comment.
Okay,
I just want to let you know that the 3 chat sessions that were held, their notes are available on the website for your review. And once all the chat sessions are complete, we'll put them all in one email out to the community so everybody can read everybody's.
Good.
Next one is Steve's Wildcat, Monday at 4 o'clock. I'll be attending that.
All the remaining chat sessions already have a email scheduled to go out as a reminder, like 2 days prior.
You're gonna put a reminder on it.
All the remaining chat sessions have an email schedule go out around 2 days before.
Okay.
Those that
Very
requested.
good. Let's move along. New business. I'm going to take B before I take A. I think A is going to take a little time. I don't want to chew it all up before we approve the committee annual plan, architectural standards. Rick, I'll offer you to make a motion.
Motion to approve the architectural standards. Annual plan.
Need a second? John Coyle? Seconds, any discussion? I will comment that, I thank you for your effort, you and your committee. I've reviewed this, it looks like you've given some good forethought. And, I thank you for that. And I will also comment that this is all part of the annual, strategic plan. We asked the committee to present an annual plan that reflects the strategic plan, number one. Number two, the purpose is to make sure that each and every board member can review what this committee is up to. And in essence, sanction their endeavors. And thereby guaranteeing that they're not tripping down a road that we don't want them to travel. So it serves all of those purposes. So any other comment? Okay, with that, I'll ask the board for approval of this plan. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Those who are not, motion passes unanimously. Let's do the same now for the finance committee. John?
Okay. Okay, I make a motion to accept the annual duties report from the finance committee, which is made up of Jim Moxley, Patrick Worms, Jim Bennett, and Mike Reed.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Pat seconds. Okay, any comments? Or questions about the plan? Again, John, I'll reiterate what I said earlier. I think you and your committee did a great job on this, the whole budget and the process. And the plan, at least to me, looks like it's in concert with our thinking. And I thank you for that. Any
Thank you.
comments or questions? With that, I'll ask all those in favor of approving this plan signify by raising your hand. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you for that. At the next meeting, we'll take a couple more plans. I will encourage you to review the plan ahead of time. Make sure they're in concert with the strategic plan and your thinking as to its appropriate. And that, in fact, the board wants to go down that road. Okay, let's talk about social membership. Who wanted this one? Steve, is it you?
Sure, yeah, it came from residents and discussion. You want to start with the motion?
Yeah,
I make a motion that we no longer offer social memberships at Sterling Oaks. The people that are currently have social memberships can stay until their anniversary date, but we not renew it. But there's 10 of them, and I don't really understand why we didn't have them.
okay, I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay. We'll let Brownie second this.
Good. I'm the seconder.
Okay, discussion. Kick us off.
Again, through the survey, people want to use their own amenities. Why we would allow the company outside to come to our pool and use our amenities for a minimum amount of money, it just doesn't make any sense why we'd offer that. There's no benefit to us financially or to our members. And again, if we're listening to them, they're saying our pool's crowded, we don't need anybody else there. So
What is it?
I don't know. Mark, do we know what the fee is?
Yes.
1,200.
It's 1100
No,
for single.
no, it's 1,200 for a single,
Single.
1,600 for a husband and wife.
What are you entitled to, John?
Everything. But tenants. Everything but tenants.
Everything but tents. Wow.
Is that true?
They can use all the amenities. They cannot bring any guests with them.
One, I just historically kind of went back in time and take a look at how it formulated. We found that this was really a way of having individuals who used to be members here, participants, were able to continue their relationship with their friends, they moved away, whether they went to Bentley Village or Vanderbilt Lakes or to Tarpon Cove or wherever they moved to in the vicinity, they still wanted to remain friends and have that social engagement with the club that they had a house here with. So whenever this was formulated, I can't remember how many years ago, the board said, let's go ahead and have a limited number of these memberships to allow these friends of the family to be able to utilize the amenities with us. Whether or not they could still play bocce with us as they always did when they owned here, or go to dinner, or whatever. So that was the original premise of it, kind of like the clubhouse membership, where they only can come in and play cards. That was established the same kind of way, where individuals who used to own here still want to play bridge with their friends, but can't be here on a consistent basis because of the guest policy. So that was just the background of it. One thing we did find out was that in the budget that's the 10 provide a budget of about $13,000 a year. Looking at their food and beverage spending year to date in October, I think CC looked that up from that, and it's minimal. It's less than $800 in true spending of if we want to call it revenues. So evidently they're not wild and crazy users of the food and beverage operation for the 10 memberships they had. Oddly enough, because of the popularity of our amenity packages here, there's 38 on the waiting list So,
For,
for a social membership. So that tells you that we have a lot of people that want to utilize this facility that don't particularly live here. I can't imagine all those 38 were past homeowners that just are wanting to be with their buddies still. So I think that that's what Steve, we talked about together was that, you know, if we find that we want to winnow these down, then letting them run out on their renewal date was one way to go.
So John Boyle and then Brown.
Just,
Okay, in the same vein, are these potential homeowners?
Yes,
Because I know,
we have used,
we
yes.
know that people start out as social members and
Mhm.
through pickleball or whatever else, they become homeowners.
That's correct.
A lot of
So,
them.
I agree with limiting number, yes. But is this a recruiting tool? Is this a way to get people to move into the community? They test it out, they like it, they come.
Yes, many of our past social members have turned into homeowners.
Browning.
okay, a little bit inconsistent, but I thought the 10 were people who had moved out of the community. That's my question. Out of those 10, how many of them were previous owners specifically, do you know? In other words, that's
Oh.
inconsistent.
Oh, I wouldn't know what they are now. I'm just saying that the original premise
Yeah.
back in the day was because there was an interest in that. And might have been, two or three.
Homeowner to let them stay a social, not necessarily sympathetic for a bunch of people who come in.
true, and I think that I think it's morphed into that, you know, kudos to all of you for making this place the place that people want to be. So, but you know, I think we have to look at it in that regard, because we did, I think in the past year, we've had 2 or 3 social members that have bought and turned into homeowners.
Lynn.
I'd say just judging from human nature that, the people that are social members here have friends who live here. And could probably just as well invite them to come to any of the events, and then they wouldn't have to pay their $1,200 or their $1,500. And, so I'm thinking, let's keep the limit on it, but I don't see the advantage of getting rid of $14,000. Just because we do know they will invite their friends to come and still have the amenities and not pay the fee.
Well, the thing that's striking me is that we've got 38 on a list. Which
We don't want them.
signifies that that's a demand. We don't necessarily want them, but what if we double the amount that it costs to be
Well,
a
that's my point.
member?
Why wouldn't we offer less than the homeowner? They're paying less than I pay for it, and
I made a
if you
note,
wanna keep them, charge them what I'm paying.
Yeah.
Why would you let people be outside paying less than
Right.
me?
Well,
Just keep paying for
That may
it.
be why you get 38, but it's cheap.
$30. and
I would
that's right.
triple it, not double.
So let's say we double it. And we maintain the cap at 10.
I want clarification.
Go ahead.
How much do we pay owners for amenities here?
well, your 2024 proposed or your approved amenities are $29.33 a month.
$30 a month.
360.
So we're paying $360 a year. I just think we want to make sure we know.
$20 for what?
For your,
For all those amenities?
for your amenities, your monthly fees are $30 a month.
It's really, really, really reasonable. So,
So you double it from 1,200 to 16.
Originally, we kept our social membership price less than our tennis membership price because tennis was a bigger package. You got tennis play and your amenities. But now your tennis is just tennis. So, your social package is definitely what people are after, not the tennis membership. Most
We had
people
people-
bought tennis memberships
it's
to
the
utilize
social.
pickleball and use the amenities, and now they're buying their social membership to use pickleball and use the amenities, so.
But they can't use pickleball.
Social memberships can use pickleball.
No, we
They just
observe
can't bring
that.
guests.
They just can't bring
No, yes.
guests.
They don't know that though.
Well,
It's all over their app and Team Reach and posted at the
they-
courts. I mean,
Well.
they're told it, but they may not believe
Or they
it.
pretend not to know that. Yeah.
John,
We've had similar conversation over and over and over again, and I'm sure this will resonate with Paul. We have an obligation to take care of the real or perceived problem that our current residents have with amenity use by outsiders. By eliminating social memberships, that's a step in the right direction for those
it won't
people.
be the same.
What do you mean it won't do a thing?
They're gonna come with their friends, free.
No. We're not gonna offer social memberships anymore,
Right.
right?
I can tell you that the social members that just joined 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, were coming here on a consistent basis as guests of existing members. They were here for every function down at the pool. They were here constantly doing stuff here on property. They just decided that they didn't want to have to be beholden to those individuals to have them as guests, so they bought the social memberships. If we cancel the social memberships, they'll come back and just be the same guests as they were before.
Well, the current social members are grandfathered
Grandfathered for what?
until they drop it.
no, the motion was till the end of the year, till
Or-
it's not renewed.
He wanted to drop them completely.
How many social members do we have again?
10 memberships.
So
Mhm.
eliminating these 10 people is gonna take the burden off the pool and.
Nobody's gonna tell our residents we're listening to them. That's what it's gonna do. It's not gonna solve the pool problem.
We are
It's gonna solve the
listening.
big problem. No, we're not listening to them. They're saying we don't want to use our amenities. And we're saying, let these people come in and use it. We're not listening to our members.
Browning, go ahead.
I tend to go with, I think we've got 10, we're getting $11,000. We're gonna come, we're gonna come as guests anyway. There's a middle road, let's keep 10. Put a limit of 10,
Here we
let
go.
it have a waiting list. 10 can't be that big, and I'll be very honest. I know you're dealing with a group on the pool that's very sensitive. The pool, and that committee was formed new this year because that group had a lot of complaints. And I think we're overdoing their perception. In other words, I think it's a very concentrated group that's gonna get rid of everybody, so I think.
Talking about the survey. I'm talking about the survey.
Paul,
Paul,
John,
John
All I'm
has his
saying
hand up.
is,
Yeah.
what I would
I
be
got
for
you,
is
John.
keeping
Hang on.
the 10, keeping it the way it is, okay? No change, but no limit of 10.
maybe we.
I'm gonna go
don't see it
to
going up in
John
price a little bit.
Mulligan, but I'm going to make a comment first. I'm leaning toward doubling the amount and maintaining it capped. But that's my tendency at this point. John,
Why don't we have 10 right now. Why don't we just, will not accept any new members. Okay, so when
That's the
10 will go to 9, down to 8, down to 7, et cetera, et cetera. It won't affect our budget
Get rid of them and renew
and
them.
it will not, and we're doing something, we're not getting new people in there. So we're listening to the people. You know, raise the price a little and reduce it as people leave, we don't replace them.
That's different than your motion.
But that's
I know,
different.
well,
His motion was those 10 couldn't renew. That's different from allowing those 10 to stay and renew.
In other words, if somebody's renewal date came up on
Tomorrow.
Just be
on
clear, the
December
motion
1st,
gets rid of them.
they wouldn't be able to renew.
No,
However,
I-
if they've been here, can they renew and leave on their own accord at some point in time in the future?
I understand his motion, but we're discussing it. That's what I think we should do.
okay. So I'm looking at a $26,000 income versus no income.
I thought it was 13,000, Mark said.
I'm saying double it. I'm saying double it. And that way we have more of an income stream. we have a cap on social members, because I'm fearful also that we're not doing anything by eliminating it, they'll come in as guests. And then we get nothing. I'd rather see $26,000 in the coffer than nothing.
Pretend
Keep
limit.
it 10.
So some people who are now social members may decide not to renew,
Yeah,
but
right,
we've got a waiting list of 38, so
Right.
we'll get the people with the money to come in. And those people will come as guests, let's see, that's doubling the number.
Well, that's perfect.
Can you, if you're a tennis member and you have a friend who's a social member? You
Social
can,
members cannot bring guests.
no, but can you bring a social member and have them as a guest to play tennis?
They pay
Yes.
guest fee.
Pay a guest fee, six and 12 or something like that, that's still in effect.
Yes.
Remember for the tennis during season, only one guest.
Right.
For anything. All season, the other 6 months, they could bring more than one guest.
Yeah.
Because F&B probably.
I like all the idea of at least that we're gonna do it, gets more money for it, but. Obviously, because people are comparing it, we're giving it away.
if we eliminate it, we haven't solved our issue or the problem, they'll just come in as guests and we get nothing.
What do you think they wouldn't come in as guests right now? Why would they offer to pay a percent of like the ten?
Because I think,
Would
What
you be
Mark-
honest?
no, yes, partially, and I think they feel that they're a burden
They're
on
imposing on the people.
they're imposing on the residents and
A
they
couple-
don't want to put them in those positions because we're learning that there's a lot of resentment about people slipping in who don't live here, and they're guests, and then residents can't get into the function. And then it happened the other night. Certain people pointed out, you see so-and-so at that table, they don't live here anymore. They used to, but they're here as guests. And you know what? So-and-so couldn't get in, and they're really upset. I hear it at every major function.
Only everybody got in
And everybody got in.
on Friday.
Well, so
Third
you hear
Tuesday.
that people didn't get in for
Tuesday,
one
right.
reason or another.
Mm.
So I don't think we're solving our problem if we eliminate it. I think we're just losing money by eliminating. Jack,
I propose, this isn't a motion, but I propose that what we do is put a cap on the number of social memberships.
We're already down.
We're already there, Tim.
We do.
There's a cap.
Is there a cap?
Yes.
Capital ten right now.
It's a cap of 10.
It's a cap of 10 since it was first.
we got a
Developed.
waiting list of 38. It's capped at 10.
All right, so we leave it the way it is and charge a increased fee to be determined. I don't know what that
I
should
agree,
be.
I think doubling
Double
it might be too much in one step. I would keep it the way it is and increase it.
Well,
Maybe not
if
double.
we doubled it and it's too much, we'll be satisfying Steve's proposition. And they won't come. And if they do come, it's a boon to us.
You're
Well,
ten
that's
out
how
of the
much that-
38, you'd be 10 out of the 38, wait. Still,
But you're still doubling the revenue.
Why don't you just raise it to 15 and make it sensible? Doubling, it, that's something ridiculous.
Well, I'm throwing it out there as a compromise offer.
How much is a tennis fee?
1,100.
I think it's like, it's over 1,100 for a single and it's 1,430 for a couple.
Then I don't see how you can charge a social membership more than you're charging. a
Because tennis
member.
only is use of tennis courts.
It's more than that. The families like.
Not these, I thought we grandfathered the old ones.
You
The old ones,
grandfathered
yes.
your current, your old ones, but anybody,
Then to these people, how are you gonna do that to them?
1430.
people don't want your tennis membership now, if you want me to be
Oh, I
honest
realize
with
that.
you. Yeah,
No, but the old ones are happy with. what
Yeah.
they have.
Yeah.
So the existing old, not old, the prior to the new tennis memberships that don't allow you any amendment of usage, still have usage of everything. Correct?
The current, one.
Yes.
prior to June. 1st.
Prior to June 1st, people, yeah, before that. So are you? They pay X, right?
They pay.
$1,400 or something like that.
$1,400.
So you, now,
I'm gonna find the real numbers, hold on.
19, it's 1430 and then a family.
That becomes a, then they can continue to renew that if they want to,
Correct.
at that price.
Yeah.
So that's a,
Whatever
that's a,
price
that-
you decide.
1430,
that's a
1970.
bargain then.
My
compared-
point is
That's a
if you're
bargain.
gonna change these people to double or another number. If we're already offering the grandfathering of the tennis members with all amenities at such a low price. How can we justify in our minds going forward and charging these people double?
Because we really don't want them.
You didn't want the
We
non-resident
really don't want
business members
them.
either.
1430 for a single and 1970 for a
We
family.
want the bill.
Right,
That's the
1970.
problem.
right. So personally, I don't care if they come or not.
You guys have a
but if
great
they do
problem.
come,
That's all.
They'll pay a lot of money to be here and it'll help our coffee.
I'd love to own a business where people are running to come in and pay at any price to get in.
The funny thing about it is that most communities, residents pay a whole lot more than we do. If you wanna talk about anybody being a bargain, it's us. We have all these amenities that we get, we don't have to join a fitness membership or a social membership or any other kind of
We
membership.
don't have golf.
We just, doesn't matter. Go to the vineyards,
Look,
they don't have golf. Well, they do have golf, I take
Yeah.
that, but you know
Anyone
what I'm
that
saying?
has golf is paying for golf, whether they play golf or not.
Yeah,
leave it at 10, but let's not charge an obscene increase. That's my problem.
Make them a number.
Huh?
It's 11 and 16.
12.
It's 12 and 16 now.
Go to 15 and 2, something like that.
That's a good starting point.
Then I think we ought to raise the tennis, the current to
Well, that's what I was
$2,000
saying
minimum.
with the-
I mean, you know, how can we charge these people $2,000 and give the people that have had tennis memberships the same thing they've had, including tennis, for less money than what we're gonna charge these people?
This tennis is a revenue, so 200.
Well, then charge them $2,000, Paul.
I think
If you're gonna charge these people 2,000, charge them 2,000.
The motion on the table is suggesting that we really don't want these people to begin with. The compromise notion is if we keep them, let's collect some money from them, and make it worthwhile. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't care if they come or not. But if they do come, let's benefit from it.
There are 38 on that list. Eventually, they're gonna drop off if they're gonna vacation. When they're not moving up the list, they're gonna stay.
Those are 38 people that have contacted us that they're interested. They haven't had tours,
They're not.
they don't know the cost, they just are interested.
Yeah, they just said, put us on the wait list.
Yeah,
So,
How do you say, let's move, what do you say?
you can amend the motion.
I don't wanna.
You wanna
amend it. I
call the
wanna
question?
Vote on this motion. That's
move
what
to
I move that we vote on the motion
Call the
that's on the
question.
floor.
call the question.
I call the question.
Let's just determine if we have more discussion or not. On the motion.
Clarify the motion.
the motion was to eliminate social memberships. Those with memberships can complete their current year. However, they are not renewable.
Okay.
And
That's
that's
it.
the motion.
Is there any way to monitor how these social memberships, what happens to them? Like how many still don't renew and, still come to events? Is there any way to monitor this?
Yeah, I'm sure I can run reports to see
I'd like
if
to see
any
that.
socials have came to events or if their cards are being used at the pool. Mhm.
Yeah,
A more important number would be how many over the years have these social members become homeowners here?
that's a good point.
Well, you're a realtor, you think that way.
No, but
also.
I,
I think it's the other way around, the people that leave, that wanna see their friends.
no, I think it's probably a good combination.
So the vote, so the motion on the floor is to eliminate as their renewal date comes up. John Mulligan, I'm going to use his terminology, said, why don't we go ahead and if there's 10 now and they come up for renewal and they don't want to renew and drop out or become a homeowner, then we go from 10 down to 9,
Yeah, that's what the motion is.
down to 8.
That's not what I'm saying.
As long as it's
Let's
safe.
put it in the motion that's on the
But
table.
I'm saying that
And
was
if it
just his,
fails, we'll come up with another
that
one.
was just his.
That's kind of what that
Well,
explains. They're not gonna be able to
Right,
renew,
Jeff,
so
Here,
eventually it'll
there,
go.
we got the motion on the table. Are we ready to deal with the motion?
Until they're ready to drop off.
All right, I second the motion. Now let's vote.
Say the motion.
Okay, repeat the motion.
A
one more
motion
time.
to eliminate social memberships. Those with memberships can complete their current year, however, they are not renewable.
Okay,
Okay, all in favor of the motion signify by raising your hand. Those who oppose signify by raising your hand. Motion fails. Okay, think about this. We can deal with it at another board meeting, otherwise it remains the way it is now. Okay? Looks like the date of the next meeting is December 14th, roughly a month from now.
yeah. 7 minutes.
Is that a Thursday?
I believe it is. It's a Thursday, it's the 14th.
I will double check. It is a Thursday. It's just early because we figured Christmas was close to the following week.
1:30 on the
Never
14th.
to see yourself.
Okay, good job, everybody. We got a lot accomplished today and it's only 3:30.
Yay.
So, I need a motion to adjourn. Rick seconds it. All in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you very much. And I didn't even have to use the gavel.
You had it.
Reach over there and do that.
Raise it.
Goodbye, Mr. Mulligan. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks.